in solidarity every single time with Walmart workers, taking a stand to demand justice from this, one of the largest retailers and employers and companies on the planet. We know they can do better. We want $15 an hour. We want full time. We're not giving up till we get it.
Yes!
And this Black Friday is unprecedented. 33 workers are on strike right now. I said 33 workers are on strike right now.
My name is Linda Haluska, and I am on strike with my co-workers to protest Walmart's illegal treatment of my co-workers. We have the right to fight against retaliation, and I am so happy to see supporters standing in solidarity with us. Thank you! I'm also happy to see the community members and supporters in Chicago standing by us as we strike today. When one of my co-workers transferred from another store, she was given a government assistant application instead of higher pay. She should have been able to ask for better pay without fear of her hours being cut or otherwise losing her job. When one of my co-workers asked for accommodation on the job to protect her pregnancy, she should not be in fear of retaliation. I am here today with all of you, fighting against retaliation. We are here standing up for one thing, and that is for respect. Woohoo!
Yes! We come from Racine, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is in the house. And we are coming together and standing together with Chicago to let Walmart know that we will not be silent. No matter how we've been treated and been attacked by the managers and by corporate itself, we will not. We are encouraged this morning to stand no matter what goes on. And we deserve respect, and we want it now. Thank you.
Walmart, you're no good. Treat your workers like you should.
When Dr. King died, he died in Memphis, Tennessee, standing with sanitation workers, saying that they deserve equitable pay. Here we are all these years later, and we still have not made progress. All over the country, people are standing outside of Walmart saying that we will stand until Walmart sit down. They've got to sit down from thinking that they can dictate to people who are no longer slaves but belong to be free. There's no way in the world you should work and not be able to feed your children, keep your lights on, and be able to have a car. Right now, while we're outside, almost 1 million Americans are sleeping in their car. We used to think that the poor were lazy and shiftless and had no work ethic, but now you can work and still cannot afford to live. Today, all over the country, 1,600 stores, people are walking out because we want to dictate. All we want is what the Walton family has. We want to be able to have a house, want to be able to provide for our children, and we want to be able to get paid for what we work for. Standing behind me are the most dedicated workers America has ever seen, and they refuse to be taken for granted. We should not work at Walmart and stand in line for welfare. We ought to stand in Walmart and be able to open up the door so that our children can fare well. Ladies and gentlemen of America, please take notice. The revolution will be televised, and it will be outside of Walmart near you. Everywhere, we're going to be standing hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder, saying, Walmart, if you want peace, give us justice. And we lift up our hands remembering Michael Brown, realizing a young man was killed when he should not have, and here we find workers who are living but feel like they're dead. America, wake up, because this is the new revolution, not looking for a handout, but a hand up. We are just a small community representing a larger family. I want to ask everybody if you'll lift up your hands right where you are. Lift them as high as you can so America can see, Chicago can see, the world can see that these are workers who will not go away quietly. All we're asking for is what we deserve. $15 an hour is not a lot for a corporation that receives billions in profits.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Anthony Wilson, and I walked out of my store on Wednesday with my co-workers. Walmart cannot retaliate against us.
Speak up. Say it.
There are workers who are being targeted for speaking out on the job. This is my third year, my third strike. I have been in the Walmart. I have worked at Walmart for 3 years. I deserve better treatment, and we have a right to fight for better treatment.
Well, what I would like to see is I would like to see us be able to get paid more and for us to be able to have a better work condition, meaning that when we come in, we're able to have all the tools and things that we're supposed to have to provide to do our jobs the correct way.
So this protest and this Black Friday kind of happens on the same week as like the sort of terrible injustice that happened down in Ferguson this week. What kind of like similarities and parallels do you see about like poverty wages and like the way police treat people?
Well, I would say that my only opinion about it is that I say we standing up for the rights. We stand up as rights for human beings and equal rights as people, period. That we should be all treated equally and fairly, regardless of the circumstances or the situations.
So, just one more question about that. I mean, do you feel like there's a connection of some kind between, you know, like expecting to be like, you know, treated like second-class citizens, you know, by police and then by employers and stuff like that? Expand on that. What do you think about that?
Well, I do think that Walmart do treat us like secondary compared to the other, you know, retail businesses and the other things that goes on in the world. I do think that it's a lot different. I wouldn't say that the Ferguson situation is compared to this. I think we just equally want to stand up for our rights as human beings now in life. You know, and that's the biggest thing, is just being fair. It's being fair. That's all we asking for. It's just take us, at least consider it, and being considerate and just saying we're willing to do something to help us out in the community at this point.
Stand up, live better. Stand up, live better.
Yeah, it's real sad about what happened to Michael Brown. It should not have happened. And for the officer to pretty much walk free, basically. And it's sad, but this is a march to make life better. And if people earn $15 an hour, maybe that wouldn't have happened to Michael Brown. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten, you know, in that situation. So it's real sad that people are making poverty level wages.
This is your first warning, okay? If you don't plan on being arrested, you will have to move off the street.
Being out, blocking the streets, basically, it's basically standing up and showing my rights. Getting a ticket, I don't care about the ticket. You know, I just want things to change, and they should change all over the United States.
Come down some more. Come down some more. Come down. Come down.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak up and say what a socialist thinks about minimum wage. Why asking for a minimum wage now? Why not in 2015 or 2016 or 2020? Or why not in 2011? Or why not in any time? Basically, the answer is because we want $15 an hour, and that's it. This is, I think, a discussion that has been conditioned to prices, index prices, how much can you live on, and it's a race to the bottom. Economists are trying to prove that you can live with the minimum possible income. And we believe that discussion is wrong. We believe that we deserve whatever we can win, and we think we can win $16 an hour. I don't think minimum wage depends on economics at all, whatsoever. It depends on politics. It depends on a dynamic that says that the owner of a company has to get away with paying the bare minimum to all employees in order to have the most profit. That's the end and the bottom line of the discussion. If I can pay 6, I will pay 6, and if I can pay 5, I will pay 5. And if I can gain, you know, having profits 11, I will have 11, and if I can have 13, I will have 13, and I will have 18, and I will have 800%. Why not? Well, the same question is what we are asking. Why not? Don't talk to me about the price of bread. Don't talk to me about the price of rice. And don't tell me that, you know, you can survive on beans. Why not? Beans are cheap. You don't need $15 an hour. You can get away, you know, you can live and you can survive on 12 or you can survive on $8.25. And of course, the discussion is larger than amounts of money. The discussion is about a minimum wage, a novel idea brought up by Roosevelt, back in the years of 1933, with the first proposal of a minimum wage in the United States, which was actually blocked by the Supreme Court, saying that no, that business have the right to just pay whatever they bargain with their employees. At that time, there were not even strong labor unions under the law that could bargain in good faith. But well, set that apart. 1939, first minimum wage law. We are still stuck with the same minimum wage law. And that minimum wage law, the only thing that says basically is that you have to pay a minimum, but it has exceptions. For instance, you have less than 4 workers, you don't have to pay minimum wage. And I see that on a daily basis. I work on recovering stolen wages. If you have less than 4 workers, you don't have to pay minimum wage. You can pay $1 an hour, $2 an hour, it doesn't matter. So any small business, really small business, is exempt since 1939 from paying minimum wage. Domestic workers, 1.8 million domestic workers in the United States, they are not entitled to minimum wage. They are not even workers according to the law. They are domestic companions. So you don't have to pay minimum wage. You can hire your babysitter, you can hire a live-in aide, and you don't even have to pay minimum wage. You don't have to pay overtime either. They are not entitled to pay to overtime. You can wake him up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take care of the baby because it's crying, and you don't have to pay any overtime, and there's no short turnaround. There's nothing. They are completely exempt. Workers with disabilities. If you are a certified company, certified by the federal government to hire workers with disabilities, then they are not entitled to minimum wage. And there are thousands upon thousands of minimum wage workers, of workers with disabilities that don't get paid minimum wage. The Goodwill stores, big chain, huge chain of business making billions of dollars a year. They are paying, one example just here, between 2012 and January 2013, she, so referring to a worker, made as little as $3.27 for 24 hours of work. Yeah. Goodwill pays down as low as 22 cents an hour to workers with disabilities. You tell me, economics has to do with this. Oh, no, it's because they can't perform 100%. So we won't pay them 100% of even the minimum wage. We pay them according to their capacities, their abilities. So this wage sounds to me like this worker has like 1% abilities because she's been paying like 1% of the minimum wage. Yeah, I don't think that's correct, but that's legal. Car wash workers, according to a study of University of Illinois, car wash workers, 75.6% of them are paid below minimum wage. 13% are paid below $2 an hour. 98% of them are not paid overtime at all. At all. So you tell me the discussion about minimum wage is, oh, no. Let's see, if we can pay you only 23 cents, 42 cents an hour. What about that? Why not $9? And that's it. You try to figure out how to live on that. Because the discussion obviously is geared to let's make the more profit for the companies and let's expend as little as we can in the workers. So again, why now? Because we have been able to create a movement that is demanding $15 an hour, and I would say shouldn't be even be 15. 15 it was when we started this 2 years ago. Now we should be demanding $16 an hour, or maybe $17 an hour. Why? Because we believe we can get it. Because we believe we can win. Because in this country, as in any other country pretty much, You get what you fight for. You don't get what you negotiate for with your company. You get what you are able to win in a battle. You win when you create such a problem, a social problem, that every politician wakes up with a headache saying, I have to solve this thing today. And that's the way we have solved the biggest problems in the United States, from the Vietnam War to, well, many other examples, the labor unions, the existence of labor unions. That's how we were able to win, by battling and struggling. The civil rights movement wasn't based on economics. What's good for a Negro? Excuse you me, but no, that's not the discussion. Yeah, the discussion was every human right has to have the same rights in the United States. And they didn't do it by counting votes. Oh, let me see. Now we have so many Democrats, so many Republicans. We don't even have Republicans in the city of Chicago. So I think, you know, we shouldn't have problems, because they are they seem to be the culprits for every problem in the nation, but not in Chicago. We shouldn't have problems because we don't have Republicans. So the Democratic Party in Chicago, you know, should be able to say, yes, everybody's entitled to a decent living, and decent living starts with at least $15 or $16 or $17 an hour. Unless, of course, they reverse the discussion and tell us that, no, wait a second. Corporations who are making millions and billions of dollars are entitled to earn more and more and more and pay the minimum bear they can. Mr. Sanjay Jha, CEO of Motorola Mobilnet, is earning $47 million a year. He's entitled to that. Of course he is. You know, why the McDonald's worker is not entitled to earn $17 or $16 an hour? Oh, who knows? If you're an owner, if you're a CEO, then you're entitled. But if you are just, you know, that fast food service worker, no, you're not entitled to that. Come on. I want the Democratic Party majority in City Council to tell us that. You know, you're going to bankrupt the economy? Well, it hasn't bankrupt since 1939 when the minimum wage law was approved. And it hasn't bankrupt every time the minimum wage has gone up. Yeah, don't tell me that the economy of the United States is going to collapse, or that the economy of Chicago is going to collapse. The economy of Detroit collapsed, and they were paying only $7.25 an hour, federal minimum wage, and they collapsed. So don't tell me there's a direct relationship between bankruptcy of a city, yeah, and the minimum wage. I think Chicago should pay and should approve an immediate increase to minimum wage for all companies over 50 workers, and yes, with small and medium to small businesses prorated, and it's had to be indexed to inflation. You increase your prices because you are paying more wages, well, then you will have to pay more wages next year round because you increase your prices, and you are contributing to inflation, not your workers. Your workers are just spending every penny they have available. Yeah, you are the one increasing the prices. You increase them, you provoke an inflation, you will be paying more wages next year. So keep that in mind.
The mayor has said he supports increasing the minimum wage. The time to do it is ripe. 34 members of the city council have written a letter on November the 19th stating that they support a living wage, urging the General Assembly not to preempt the city of Chicago from taking the action that the members of the council have said they want done. The mayor has said he wants to increase the minimum wage in Chicago. The city council has voted in the form of a letter with 34 members signing it. The danger in Springfield is real. The time to take action on increasing the minimum wage in Chicago is now. I call upon the mayor and the city council to have an extraordinary meeting of the council to take action on increasing the minimum wage in Chicago.
There is a proposal to increase the Chicago minimum wage to $13 an hour. I was part of the task force formed by Mayor Emanuel to recommend an increase in the wage, and we, after much discussion and give and take, reached a consensus on $13 an hour.
Nothing personal, Joe. Aldermen earn $55 an hour. Yeah, that's what you make. $114,000 on average, more or less. $55 an hour.
Is that on an hourly basis?
Well, if you work full time, which I know for sure that many aldermen don't do. So if they work less, then they are paid $110 an hour. So they could, very easily imagine that, $15 an hour would be incredibly fair. Why not? The concept of the helping the poor, I don't want to help the poor. I simply want to disappear the poor by disappearing poverty, because I don't think there is any kind of need of poverty. There are riches enough, there's enough wealth in this city, in this state, and in this country, to have middle class everywhere. Yeah, there's always going to be someone who's poorer than other. But I don't think there's any kind of need, for poverty, basically. So I don't want to help the poor. Concept of working poor, that's a novelty. Because it used to be that you were poor if you didn't work, if you were unemployed. But it used to be that if you work, you were not poor. Well, let's go back to that. And the first step, going back to that, would be to pay at least $15, and I insist, maybe $16 or maybe $17 an hour. Yeah, that way we disappear the poor, we disappear poverty, we don't have to help them anymore.